Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name is Lucas. Hope you guys are doing great today. So today I just want to guide you through the process of downloading a template in the Framer marketplace and basically adding that to your account, understanding the template, understanding how it was built, understanding how to edit certain parts of it, how to edit the colors, how to edit the effects, right? Also, I want to show you how to delete certain sections if you don't like certain sections and you want to add like a new remix link, right? Like a new section that you found somewhere in the Framer resources that you think is really cool. You want to add that to your to this specific file. You can totally do that. So if you're completely new with Framer, this is a video for you, just to show you how easy it is to download something. There's a lot of amazing free content out there. So I want to show you how you can download something and how you can basically add it and basically combine different things to create your portfolio, right? Your dream portfolio in Framer. So, and as some of you may know, Framer is a great tool to use to build your portfolio, especially if you're, a visual builder or you're coming from a design background, because Framer has this amazing visual builder, right? So yeah, if this is something interesting for you guys, let's go ahead and get started. And just for starters, I did find a few templates that I really like. I liked this one, for example, Yuya. So I have it open over here. And basically, if I press and refresh, it has this nice little, effect popping up. It has this cool scroller, the cursor, sorry, that if I hover over certain sections, it gets bigger. If I hover over the text, you can see that it turns white, right? If I go to these projects, you can see that the cursor also gets a little bit bigger. And all in all, I really like this. As you can see here, there's also project pages, which in their case, they're using CMS, which is another important thing to understand if you are new to Framer, right? And they have cool scroll animations, right? So I think this is a cool portfolio to start off with. It's very simple yet very nice in terms of design. I like the way that this designer built it with the layout, right? Shout out to Peter Hodak, by the way. So I found this one. I also found this one called Mono CV, right? You can see here that this is kind of sticky on the left side, and then you have on the right a text about where they're from, their skills, their experience, their tech stack. And then you have like a little CMS thing with their projects over here, education and all of this, right? So I'm just looking at different inspirations right now, different examples of what we can use, right? So we found those two. I also like this one. So if I open link a new tab and just preview, by the way, these are all for free. So you can see Billy Duval, very nice intro. And you have this little thing popping up, right? And as we scroll down, we see these different sections, right? This is also a very nice design, very nice layout. You can see them all, and it basically pops up like that. And you see all of the different works. And then if you click up here again, it goes back to the home page. And we have this little part at the bottom, and then let's talk. So I really like this section, for example, or this page, all in all. Very beautiful, very simple also. I guess it consists of a home page, a project page, and project individual pages, and that's it. So we can probably get this template, right? And let's say that, for example, we want to, well, we can eventually combine certain things at the end. Like we can use this footer at the end, for example. Let's see how it goes, but let's go ahead and download this template. So in order to download it, I'm going to go here back to where I found it initially. I'm going to click on use for free and then just click on copy. And it's basically going to copy to my Framer project. It's going to open automatically in the browser, right? I'm going to choose my workspace, click on confirm, and then boom, it's open. In a matter of maybe 10 seconds, I have it already here in my account, and yeah, already looking good. And we're going to do the same thing for Yuya. So use for free, I'm just gonna close this, copy this, and while it opens, I'm gonna go to the next one, which is this Mono CV, used for free, copy, and close this preview. And we should have Yuya in the templates. So click on confirm, and then Mono CV also in the templates, right? Click on confirm, and we are all set. So we have all of these different projects open over here. We have the Billy one, we have the Yuya, and the Mono CV all over here. Perfect. And if you just click on the side, right, you can start seeing the pages over here. So as you can see, for the Billy one, we have the home page, we have a 404 page, we have a projects index page, and project detail page, which is for the individual projects. And then we have over here in the canvas a style guide. So we have a specific style guide set with H1, H2, H3, H4, etc. And you can kind of see that over here, that H1 to H6. And then we have 3 different body texts. We have body, body small, body micro, and body small 0.5. Okay, so I guess it is 3, but one has a different type of spacing. And then we have different colors, right? We have this white one, we have this black one, and then we have here, I can see other types of colors as well. So it's more of a dark, a black and white thing. So this is actually a really good exercise it's a really good thing to have in a template, this style guide canvas page, to kind of understand in a visual perspective what this template consists of, right? So yeah, so already we can see if we click on, for example, one of these sections, or we can click on one of, or on the desktop, you can see that the background is fill, and it should be that type of black, right? Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Now let's go to the next one. So we have Yuya, we have Mono CV. They don't have that style guide, but if we go to assets, they do have text assets already. So you can see that this one is inter, right? And this one, for example, is a body large, and we can go here and click on, we can click on, double click on it, or just click on it. So everything seems to be inter, right? So this is also a good way to kind of see if you like the type of typography in one template and want to move it to the other one. You can kind of go ahead and see the body large, go to the text assets, and check to see how that's built, right? This is inter display, for example. They all seem to be inter. Let me see here, this one. This is Switzer. Okay, so this is a little bit different. All right. Another thing to keep in mind are these components over here. So also under assets, just make sure that you go through these components so we can see home. And if you click on these things, you can kind of get a preview, right? So if you click on one of these components, it takes you to that component editor, and you can go to layers and see which one is the primary, and then click on the play button and see what happens. In this case, it's pretty hard because it's empty, but we can go to another component like hero image, click on play, and see that there is some type of interaction going on, right? You can see that it goes from this to this, so from empty to this, and this is, for example, the tablet one, right? So yeah, it's really good to just go through these different components and see how they're built. If you're starting off in Framer, this is a great way of learning how different talented Framer designers / developers build their sites, right? This is like the best way of learning it, actually. This is how I learned it. And it's basically just going and dissecting the pages and starting off with the styles, then with the components, right? And then going to the layers, right? So let's just look at the components first. So this is like the call to action. And then you can see if you hover over it, it turns into this one, which you can see has this hover state, right? So that's just something that I want to show you guys. Look, and this is from the hero image. So if we go back to the hero image, this has a nested component. So that takes me to this logo. And then if I double click on this, it takes me to that logo component. And then you can see that it goes from this to this to this, right? All in a specific appear interaction, right? Now the next thing to kind of see here is the layers, right? So we're going to move from the assets to layers, right? We saw the pages already. This is just, a simple page structure. You can click on one of these pages. I'm going to click on the home one, and then under layers, you're going to always start off with the desktop, right? I would say the best templates, the best designs out there only have 3 breakpoints. I see a lot of people, trying out with 4 or 5 or 6 breakpoints, but don't do that. Just start off with just use the default ones: desktop, tablet, and phone. And as you can see here, like the best framer designers out there, these people that make these templates, right, they do that as well. So we're going to go to the desktop one, which is the primary one, and we're going to skip these components, right? Because in the components, you can see kind of how it's built, but under the page wrapper, right? This is where you can really start to analyze your template, right? So we have a page wrapper, and we can see that it's starting from the top all the way to the bottom. It has a relative position. That means that it is relative to the stack on top of it, right? And this also has a layout. So these are all stacks, right? This icon is a stack. We have this page wrapper. We have this hero section with this over here. These, for example, this one is a smooth scroll. So it's basically just like if I were to remove it, you're going to see that it scrolls. It's not so smooth anymore. You see how it's just like kind of, buggy. I mean, it's not bad either, but this just makes it, scroll a little bit smoother, right? So this is nothing. You can even add it to the end of the template as well. This one, for example, global get template. This is something that we can remove because we don't need that anymore. So we can just remove that. And the header would be the nav bar, right? So eventually the header is going to pop up. As you can see right there, this is the header. And if we scroll down, it's always going to stay at the top. And that's why it is fixed to the top 0, right? So this is something that, is pretty standard. I guess this one also has a header. Yeah, this one has a header, but it is absolute. It's not fixed. It is absolute. So it stays at the top and doesn't really move downwards with you. And let's see this one. This one doesn't really have a header, right? No. Okay, so this one, as you can see, is fixed. This one is absolute. So this is a great way of learning how these different things work, right? Then we have the page wrapper, which is basically wrapping the whole page, where we have this hero section, right? This hero section is set to a viewport height. That means that no matter how high your screen is, it's always going to cover this 100% of your screen. Just this section, right? If we were to set it as a specific height, let's say maybe fixed 500, it'll just stay at this 500 pixel height. So if I were to press play, you can see that it's much smaller, and then it looks like this, right? But in this case, it looks much nicer if it's at a display of 100 VH, right? Because it covers the 100%. It covers 100% of what. Well, actually, this is not 100 VH. This is 800. Let's go backwards. There we go. Now it covers. Now it's right in the middle, right? And it looks like very cinematic. Okay. So this is with that, with the head, with the hero. Then we have the works. So in the works, we have this page wrapper padding. Okay, so this is like a padding. Strange. I wouldn't really do it like that. But, you can see how it's built. Doesn't really matter. You can also add a padding over here to the right and left, making it like 40 or 40, I think it was 40 and 40. And just removing these paddings, right? Then you also get a padding. So, but it's just interesting to see how it was built, right? And then over here, right? This is the most important thing. This is like your product section. So you have this main container. And then under this grid, you have one grid. We can actually make this a stack. It doesn't have to be a grid. But here you can basically double click this and say, like my projects, for example. And then underneath this, you have the actual grid with the different projects, right? And as you can see, if you were to open these layers like this, you have this little icon here that looks like coins stacked on top of each other. And that's not, those aren't really coins. What it is it's a CMS, right? It's basically, so if we click on here, you can see projects, right? It's a collection of your projects. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slug is basically the link that it's going to have. This is not really important. I mean, just make sure that each one is its own slug, has its own slug. And then we have title, we have label, we have description. So it's basically like a Google sheet or like an Excel sheet with your different projects, right? So we have ID, slug, so it's going to be your site / project / your slug. And then you have the title, you have the label that you want to add to it. You have a little description, the client's name, the year that it was done, your role, your deliverables. And then here's the fun part. Here you can add a thumbnail for your image, right? You add a link to the specific project, and then you have different images, and then you have a next button, right? So basically what they did is that they created all of these different stacks, and instead of adding all of them, he just filtered them with an ID, right? And that this ID equals 1, for example. So this is like number 1. So that's why it's just showing 1, because he filtered it by ID. And the same with this one, right? And as you can see, usually you can edit the project here, but he's using a component for this. So he's using this home component, and he has the variant full. There's one that's invisible that we saw earlier. And then there's this full one, and then he can choose the image that he wants to add. So he can, and he linked it to these titles. So basically you can, if you do a component like this, you can write some random text as a title, but in this case, if you want to have it, directly connected to your CMS, you can just go here and click on title, and then boom, it's there. Then if I were to double click this, you can basically just edit this. So if, let's say that we want this to be rounded on the edges, right? Something like this. We can make it look like that. And as you can see, it's all rounded. And if we double click this again, and we want this title, for example, we want this title to be aligned in the center, we can do that as well. Just make sure that it's all like looking like this. And then we have something like this, right? So this is like how you would edit this specific component for a CMS, right? So this is how it would look like. Again, it looks different in the tablet and phone because this designer created a different version for the tablet and the phone. It's actually the same for the tablet and phone. So if we were to make this one, for example, also with a radius of about 100, right? And maybe we can add like a border, why not? That's like this. And make it a little bit more prominent like that. You can also see that it adds a border to it. Doesn't really look nice, but I'm just trying to show you how, you can edit this, right? So yeah, so that's basically that with the CMS. I'm going to go refresh because, I'm going to undo this because I like how it was before without these rounded edges. Just going to go back a bit and make them, nice and linear again. So yeah, so that's with this grid. So basically it's just making sure that you understand the layout here. So we went from hero, right, which was this component, and then we went to work, which was the title and the work. And then now the next thing is the about, which again, we have these, little wrapping things here in the left and right, which I wouldn't tend to use. I would, again, just add the padding over here to the right and left. And then we have this right here, which is the about. So it's in this main container that's inside of this about section, right? Over here, centered. And then we have this over here with about left, this helper, which seems to be empty. and then this, which also seems to be empty. So I'm trying to see how this would look like if I were to press play and go downwards. Okay, so this is basically like an image that would pop out eventually if you were to scroll over here. So yeah, section and view, and it's basically pointing to this about section, right? And this is another thing. This is something called scroll sections, right? So you can add a scroll section to a certain section, and then make sure that you can make sure that a specific component or section basically reacts to this scroll section like this one does, right? When this specific scroll section is in view, section is about, then it goes in, right? So that's basically the whole point here. Also, these stars mean that there's some type of animation here. There's a scroll animation. So if I were to, press play again and go all the way down, you can see that it kind of popped out from the bottom, right? When I go down slowly, as you can see, it did that, right? So yeah, so that's that. Then this about info, you have left and right. And as you can see, some of these are, on the left, some of these are on top of each other. That's just basically how you would build stacks in Framer. So you have this about one, which is going left and right because you have left, middle, and right. And this left one is going on the top and bottom because when you open it, it has a top, it has, these two things. It has this, which has these two things going left and right, which is actually, left and right. Might be a little bit overwhelming to start off with, but it's good that you just try this out yourself and kind of analyze and understand this, right? Then we have this let's talk one, which is quite straightforward, very similar to everything else. We have this content that is linked to a certain section. So if I were to again press play and go down here, it kind of pops up, and I guess it links me to a website, right? Yeah, to this person's website. And I also see that there's something with the cursor, right? You can see that whenever I hover over this let's talk, I guess it was this one, right? There's this hover effect. So we have a hover variant for the cursor. So if I go back to assets and I look for cursor, which is right here, you can see that this is like the default cursor and this is the hover cursor, right? So that's pretty cool that you can actually add these cursor hover effects by clicking here on plus and applying that to a specific section. So we can also do that here. For example, we can go here and click on cursor and set variant to cursor hover. So now if I press play and go down to that specific section, it also pops up like that. Now I also realize that these also have a specific cursor. So if I were to press play, you can see that these have cursors and they are basically tied to the component. So if I were to click this, you can see that it has this cursor thing. That means that if I double click here, and the designer basically added a cursor and created a variable out of this cursor by clicking on this plus sign and typing in cursor, enter, and basically, being able to choose a specific cursor outside of this component, right? Now, the next thing that I want to show you is how to edit these CMS pages. So we have the index page and we have the detail pages, right? So as you can see, the index page is just one single page that shows a collection of all of your, shows basically a view of all of your different fields of your collection, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here is this one is an individual page for each one of these fields. So we have Philly's ice cream, we have this Gaston, we have this LeBlanc, this Schlang one. So these are all basically different types of individual pages using one specific template, right? So let's just go back to the index page and I'm going to show you how to basically edit this one. All right, so for this index page, basically, like I said, it's just a collection of your different CMS, projects. right? So we have the page wrapper with the padding, header. So I'm just going to put the header at the very top so we don't get confused. And then the smooth scroll we're going to put at the very bottom. And then we have the footer, right? So that's just the important thing, these two things. And then for this main container, we have this hero with a text, very straightforward. And we have this project wrapper with the different projects that, so basically I didn't mention this before, but you have one design that basically matches the rest of the design. So this template, if I were to double click, it's this one that we saw before, and it's basically showing all of the projects, right? So we can limit this to like 2, right? Or 1, but we don't want to have a limit. So let's just put like, for example, 10. After 10, it's going to cut off. But basically this design is just like a template for the rest of the designs, right? So this is for the index page. Index page is just very, very straightforward. Now the next thing is the projects page, project detail page. And this, I get a lot of people saying that this is a little bit confusing. How can they edit the text without it being reflected to the other pages? So like if I were to click here and edit something like blah, 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 right? You can see that it's going to be reflected to the other pages, and you don't really want that. Well, what you need to do is you just need to, here in this plus next to the content, you need to set the variable to the title. And then that's going to basically link for each one of these pages. It's going to link to the title of the specific project. And that's basically the whole logic of everything here. Not just the title, but for the description, for the client, for the deliverables, for the creative direction, for the year. Not much for these specific titles, because these would be used for the different projects as well. They're gonna stay the same, so that doesn't really matter. But these results are what's important to link. And you can know when something is linked when it's blue like this, right? Also with the images. This was image 1, this is image 2, image 3, right? I believe some have more images. Yeah, for example, this one has image 4. And basically what they did, or what the designer did, was, let's go back to Phillies and choose an image 4. It has a condition. So it's visible only if image 4 is set, right? That's another thing to kind of keep in mind when building CMS detail pages, is that you want to have these conditions. If not, if we didn't have this, let's just remove this and let's go back to another page. This is going to be like basically empty, right? I mean, it's going to have this image 4, but it's just like a default image. It doesn't really exist. So let's just keep that condition in place so that whenever a specific project has that 4th image, then they show it. If not, it's going to be invisible, right? And then we have the next project, which is down here. So if you go to layers, next project, and it's basically going to link to projects slug, which is the slug is basically like the code name for the next project. So, and then we have this slug next, right? So we can just go here, set variable to next slug, right? That's how you do it. All right, and then basically this footer is what you see everywhere else. This is like a universal component along with the header with the nav bar, right? But yeah, that's basically it from the side of CMS. All right, now you have a good understanding of how your project was built. You kind of know how to edit certain sections. You know how to basically edit the components. You know how the components are built. You understand the cursor effects. You understand how the CMS was built, also with the CMS detail pages. So now what I want to show you is how to combine certain sections from other projects, right? Let's say that you found a cool remix link somewhere, like one of mine, and you want to bring that into your project, right? So I'm going to go here. I'm going to basically submit this order and view this order. And let's wait for it to load. And then once I download it, right, I'm going to click here, and then I can see, okay, this is cool. This is like a section that I kind of made where this is going like that, and I might want to add this somewhere in my homepage, right? So in order to do that, we can do the following, right? We can just get this, and first of all, understand how it was built. So we have the desktop, we have this heading, and then we have the cards, right? And we have these cards over here, which is for other types of viewports. So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy these. We're going to copy it all like this. And we're actually going to put this into one section. So we're going to add a stack to this, and we're going to call this remix. And we're going to copy this remix and paste it into our project. So we're going to go here under page wrapper, press place. We can put it over here somewhere. And as you can see, voila, it is pasted. This didn't have a background color, so let's just make sure that this is, you know, can make this white. And we can give this, remove the background color over here and change certain things. So right now we have this. So if I were to press play, cool, we have this section, and then we can scroll down and you can see that it's working pretty nicely, right? So this is one way of combining different remix links with a free template in Framer. Now the final thing I would look into before you want to publish this page is the different breakpoints, right? So you just want to make sure that everything looks correct in the breakpoints, right? From desktop to tablet to phone. Not only the home page, but you can also check the other pages as well, just to see how they're looking like in the different breakpoints, right? And apart from this, you know, it might look good in the Framer editor, but you also want to preview it in the, you know, browser. So what you can do is click on Publish, click on Update, and just click over here. And what you can do is you can just scroll through this, see how it's looking like. Okay, this is a nice little animation. And let's just go here. Let's click on this one. Okay, it's looking good, right? So you're pretty satisfied with the desktop version. Now let's go ahead, click on right click, inspect. And what you can do is you can click on an iPhone 14 Pro Max and see how this looks like over here. And just make sure that you're, you know, happy with what you see, right? It'll also be pretty helpful if you can check your actual phone as well and put this, you know, link into your phone. So let's just close this. And yeah, and once you're ready to publish, I mean, basically this is just like a, you know, preview domain that Framer provides you with. You can go here to add domain, and here you can actually have a free subdomain from Framer. So you can put like portfolio. So this is like your own, you know, subdomain from Framer, or you can actually connect a domain you own. In this case, you need like a paid account, but it's pretty easy. All you have to do is add the domain, right? Click on the check mark. It's going to provide you with certain certificates that you just have to basically copy or replace in your, you know, hosting provider. So basically GoDaddy, wherever you bought the domain, GoDaddy, Namecheap, I think those are like the most famous ones. So that's where you basically do that. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I think this was a nice little, you know, treat for those of you that are pretty new to Framer. And a lot of you, you know, ask me certain things, so I kind of find different patterns, and that's how I make my videos. So if you have any more ideas, any more issues that you're dealing with, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to make another video about those issues. Also feel free to join my Discord. We're a lot of Framer developers there, and you know, we're very passionate about what we do, and we're passionate in helping others, you know, get jobs or get clients, or you know, improve our own work or portfolios. So yeah, feel free to join that as well. And yeah, hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.